Hey guys, welcome back to the shed. It's Chris from the Ultimate Recycler, and we are up to part 61 of the emergency storage shed clean out series. Let's walk this way and have a look at what we're going to get today. 61 weeks in a row without a fail. We're going to get to the back of this shed if it kills me. There's been plenty of jokes about how many years it's going to take to get through this, and one guy even suggested, why not get a skip in and clean it all out? Life's too short. But you know, if this shed was never ending, how good would that be? Give me never ending content, never ending treasures. And I do have to say, I'm actually pretty much living off what I get out of this storage shed at the moment, because I haven't been buying any deals. As most of you know who follow my channel, I've got the big farm cleanup going on, which I'm not really getting any shop income out of, because the money pretty much goes back into the getting mum moved across, and my brother and I do share a bit for our work we do. But my main business income is pretty well what I'm getting out of here at the moment, because I'm not prepared to take on any more house and shed cleanouts until I do this. So where we're going to go today? Well, I'm wavering the camera around the middle because that's the direction we're heading. I would like to get those blue shelves out, little drawers out, and see what's in them. There is some vintage hardware in there. But I think we'll get these boxes out of the middle first. In fact, obviously we can't move the drawers until we move that thing there, which I think is another air pump, medical air pump, like a nebulizer. We had one a while back, easy breather clinical air pump. I don't think that's going to be much good, except maybe selling cheap as an air pump if it works. The last one I think I put in the shop for $10, and I think it's still there. We have an old running board fuel can. Now, some of them are branded, some aren't. They tend to sell pretty well. And we have a bag here full of old tools. Now, I have a feeling there should be a tag still on this, because I remember buying it off a guy many, many years ago. Now, I don't know that there is a tag. It may have fallen off. And I have a feeling he came in the shop and he said I was cleaning out an old shed. He wanted to sell some tools, and I pretty much just went, oh yeah, I don't know, I'll give you $20 for it or something. I forget now. I was probably busy at the time and maybe even hoping he'd go away or something. And I think we obviously did the deal, because I've got the bag here and I don't know what's in it. So we can see an old cast iron spirit level on top. That's a pretty cool piece. So let's get that fuel can, that air pump, clinical air pump, and that bag of goodies out of there. And then next week we might work through these boxes to free up this area. And the week after I'll be looking to get those little drawers out and see what's in them. This is a much older air pump than the last one I had. Hopefully it works and we can maybe just sell it for $5 or something, because there's not going to be much scrap value in there. A lot of plastic, but we'll check that out. The fuel can's a Shell one. It's pretty cool. It needs a bit of a wash up. Let's have a look at this. You can see it says Shell down one side. These are mounted on the running board of the old cars as basically as petrol tank, I guess, like a jerry can. So it says Shell down that side. This side did have some writing over it, but it's a bit hard to read. I'll clean that up. We'll give it a gentle wash up. Don't know what was stuck to that side. But it's a pretty nice one. It's got an original brass top on it. Some of these tops are embossed. This one isn't. But I reckon that's going to be a $20 or $30 fuel can anyway. All right, let's get that bag of goodies. Well, it's pretty heavy, so it must have a fair few tools in it. We'll get to this one last. We'll just have a look at the air pump first. But I'm looking forward to getting into there. I've just gone and given the Shell tin a wash up. So while that's drying, let's have a look at this easy breather clinical air pump. And it has instructions. Yeah, it looks a bit grubby. The air pump itself may or may not work. Trouble is the hoses probably go hard. What's going on here? Oh, that's a vent. Is it? No, that's... Oh, here we have a maximum minimum output. And that's... Oh yeah, that switches. So you can run it off 12 volts DC or AC. Let's just plug it in and see if it works. I guess if it works, we can just put $5 on it in the shop. We're not going to get that sort of money out of it for scrap. There we go, that's AC. I'll plug it into the appliance tester. And now we can turn it on. Yeah, well, it runs. Sounded pretty sluggish. I don't know where the actual air comes out. It's actually getting faster as it warms up. Oh, there's the outlet there. You can hear the tone change. It's not really pumping much air. Yeah. I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to keep the cord because it's a handy cord for vintage radios and boom boxes and things. I'm going to close the lid and I'm going to put it into the e-waste crates. It's not worth pulling apart or scrapping. We're going to have one electric motor. We're going to have a lot of plastic. I would probably save the switch, but other than that, I don't think it's worth the time. And I don't think it works well enough to try and sell. So that can just go straight to the e-waste crates. Our instructions, or that's actually a sticker. They can just go in the recycle bin for paper. So there we go. Dealt with this item. Let's get into that bag of tools while we wait for the other thing to dry. Now, can you really get much more interesting than a bag of old tools like this that hasn't been unpacked for a long time? Let's go through it. Let's unpack it. Let's see what we've got here. That's like a hacksaw, but it's a very coarse blade. I guess it's for timber. It's an older style frame, timber handle. I think that's worthy of a cleanup. It's going to be at least $5. We have the obligatory soldering iron. I get lots of these. This one's not in bad condition. Nice old handle with a brass collar on it. I think that will clean up well. We're going to be probably $10 on that one. I will refine these prices, of course, once we clean things up and see what they're like. Here's a much older soldering iron. That's an interesting style. I haven't seen that before. It almost pivots, but yeah, that's been around a long time. That almost looks hand forged. It's got a timber handle with a steel sleeve around it. Yeah, that's a nice one. That's going to be 10 at least for just because it's a bit different. We have some sticks of plumber's solder. Now these sell quite well. And it actually says 60% solder, so it's 60% tin and 40% lead, I think, is what they normally are. And I do sell these sticks because you can still buy plumber's solder like this, and it's quite expensive. And I would imagine, I think the new ones might even be lead-free. I know they've gone lead-free with electronic solder. Plumber's solder, I'm not sure. That says 50% solder. LTL, which would be tin and lead, 50% lead probably. I can't read a percentage for tin, but I would assume it's probably 50-50. So there's quite a bit of that, just bits of it. I do sell, as I said, I sell these sticks, and I think I was getting $5 each for them or something. This one looks like it's actually been home poured. Maybe they've tried to reuse solder. It certainly looks like it's still solder. Interesting. We could probably put that in with our scrap lead because I don't know how I'd go selling that through the shop because there's no indications of what the composition is. I'd say it is solder, but I think we could sell it with our scrap lead. Now this cast iron level is very nice. It's still got the bubble, but it doesn't... Oh yeah, the bubble's still in there. I thought it might have lost the fluid. It's got a gauge here. I'll say you can... Looks like you can get levels on a certain incline. That should pivot. It's a bit tight there. I haven't seen one like this before either. That's a really nice looking spirit level. And I think that needs a little bit of research. But with a clean up, I could see that at least being $30 or something like that. You don't see them with this adjustable incline piece. And that's got the bubble in it too. So it's undamaged. It just needs a good clean up. I'm going to research that one for sure. Another piece of homemade solder I would suggest, probably just for our lead bin. another soldering iron, but no timber handle on that one. I think I'll put a handle on it because it would sell quite well. They usually have a brand on them too when I clean them up. We have an old, an awl. Well, actually it's not an awl, it's a threading, I'm not sure what they're called, but it's for starting a hole where you're going to put a wood screw in. So it's kind of like a hole starter drill. I don't know, they've got a name. I'll try and check it out. I know you're probably half of you are yelling at the screen telling me what it is. Here we have some nice old shears. Look to be in reasonable condition. It's lost a little link that holds it together at the end, so it might be pretty hard to sell. A auto radio antenna, here it is. Don't see a lot of value in that, but I guess it would suit an older car, so we might leave it with the box. Probably get $5 for it. A handsaw, a small panel saw. The handle's not much good. Now, someone was telling me, a few people were mentioning in the last video I did on where I had some hand tools, that you can pick the age of them by the way the handle hole is formed. And when you have an edge around the side there, it's probably more modern, say 1950s or so. The really early ones don't have that line. It's actually almost totally smooth. And that was interesting. So thanks for the guys that pointed that out. I think one of them was Steve and one was Elaine. That one's obviously not in very good condition. We'll probably just put that in the $1 box. Someone might pick it up for doing some hand folk art painting on. Here we have a hand drill. Looks in reasonable operating condition. Bit stiff, but it would work fine with a cleanup. And sometimes in the handle they actually have some drill bits. Yep, it unscrews. There's nothing in there. But sometimes they do have a drill bit in the handle there. Okay, I think that will probably get $10. Quick cleanup, it's in workable condition. The original cordless drill. A folding carpenter's rule here. It looks a bit rough. They're always nicer inside, I guess, because the numbers are protected from the elements. It looks a little bit warped, but it is complete. Now, it's probably a ray bone or something. 1380 boxwood is the timber. I think it is, it's made in England. I think it would be a ray bone. I can't read that at the moment. We'll try and give it a bit of a clean up. In good condition, I get at least 10 for them. That might be a 5. Depends how it cleans up. Next in this bag of tricks is a large adjustable wrench. Probably a Footprint brand. It looks like it's been welded here. It's had a bit of a breakout and it's been re-welded. So not in very good condition, this one. They are still adjustable. You can move the bolt up to a series of holes. I guess it's worth a quick clean. Actually, I think, yeah, it is a Footprint brand. I can see the foot. So I think we'll get $5 for it. It's rough, but it is a large one. And it looks like it's well branded. A small keyhole saw here. Much like a pruning saw, but smaller teeth than a pruning saw. So it's for just doing little keyhole jobs. I don't know that that's really worth pricing individually or even cleaning up. I think we'll just put that in the $1 box as a bonus for someone. A hammer, a ball peen hammer or engineer's hammer. Looks like the original handle. It's been around for a long time. I think it's branded with something there. We'll give it a quick clean up. And I could probably put a better wedge in the end there to tighten the handle up. If it's got a nice brand on it and I tighten the handle, I think we'll get $10. A spanner here, just pressed out of sheet steel. It could have come with a piece of equipment. I don't know that it's necessarily made specially as a tool. It's more likely a go with something, probably just in the $1 box. Whereas this one is, unfortunately, the jaw's cracked. P206, it's a cast or malleable steel, probably an agricultural equipment spanner for a plough or an early piece of machinery. Don't recognise it immediately. I think I've seen the number P206, but I can't quite remember it. Might be an early international number. for the farm equipment. Yeah, I would have 10, but given it's damaged, we'll just put 5 on that one. And it looks like the bottom of the bag is all drill bits. Here we have the drill brace. Looks in reasonable condition. This has the ratchet set up on it. It's probably a Stanley or something like that. The handle looks good. In fact, both handles look good. So it would still be in working condition, I would imagine. Probably go $10 on that one. And then we have a lot of drill bits. Oh, this isn't a drill. Well, this is an adjustable bit, I think. Maybe you could replace that side piece with longer ones for doing large holes, like a Forstner bit. I'm not sure if it has fittings for it in here or not, but anyway, we might just make a group of these drills with a square end all go in that drill brace. This one's not though. This is a large masonry drill, and that might be worth hanging on to here. It's a nice long one, and there are times when I've needed masonry drills, so I might add that to my collection. Masonry, of course, for going through brick or concrete. That looks terribly abused, that drill bit. Can't imagine that being much good. I think we'll just sell all these as a collection. That one looks like it's had the point ground off it. Used and abused, out of someone's toolkit. And I think we've all got a box of drill bits where a lot of them are blunt or have been broken or something. That one looks like a pretty good one. Now that doesn't have the square on it. I might keep the ones without the square, because they will go in my normal drill. I have a variable speed electric corded drill here, which is really good for drilling through old timber if I'm making something, and the variable speed means you can go nice and slow and you can use these drill bits. So I'll keep those ones, but most of them looks like they suit the older style drill brace. There's a hollow punch and the end's fairly butchered, and have a look at how mushroomed over the head is. I think that's a bit beyond using. It is branded. It was probably good quality steel, but it's pretty butchered. Might be just in the scrap bin, that one. More little drill bits here. Some broken. The broken ones will just go in the scrap. Some bits of rubber that have perished. A stick. Every bag of tools needs a stick. And a hacksaw blade. Looks like a new one. And a couple of good drill bits down the bottom here. Oh, that one, I think that one's a scraper for scraping around inside like a bearing scraper. Not too sure. It looks like it's got a square on it. So maybe it's like a brooch. Not too sure on that one. And we have some more little bits underneath the bottom of the bag, but nothing else very exciting. I think that's it. We have an empty bag. Oh no, a few more have rolled out from underneath the base. I think we can all agree that the bag has seen better days, and I would suggest that I'd be hard pushed to even give that bag away. I think unfortunately that one will need to go in the bin. It's probably a 1970s bag, but it's, yeah, clearly past its prime. And now it's that time of the video where I've cleaned everything up. We can go through it. You can have a look at how things cleaned up and what I've discovered along the way. And of course, we'll check the notepad. So we'll quickly scan over the bench here. They're the $1 stuff. It's just going in the box at the shop. I don't write down anything for that. Only two things I'm keeping are that nice wood drill and a new hacksaw blade. The masonry bit, the tip's quite badly damaged, so they're just going in the scrap metal, those three things. The stick, I've kept the stick because Shane makes me accountable for everything that I find, and I like doing that. So the stick is going in my fireplace for next cold day where I'm actually going to light the fire. So that will be useful. $5. We did see a Footprint brand on here, if I get the light in the right place and a reflection. And there we go, we've got a focus. So yeah, Footprint brand. I'm still just going to put $5 on that one. The hammer cleaned up quite well. I just gave it a buff on the wire wheel. I don't actually know the brand. It's got we'll spin it this way. It's 1.5 pound. And it looks glossy because I've just wiped it over with some beeswax. And it's got quite an interesting trademark there, but I don't know a brand for it. Anyway, I'm putting $10 on it. I did put another wedge in there, so the handle's quite tight now. The radio antennas, I think it's new. Don't think it's been used. We'll put $5 on that. The petrol can or gas can cleaned up quite well. I think it said double shell SAE 40 motor oil, but I think they were a petrol can, like that mounted on the running board of your car. It cleaned up pretty well. Original red paint. I took the paper labels off the back, though. I don't think they had anything to do with it, and I marked the paint. But I'm going to go for $40 on that. I did check eBay, and they seem to sell okay. Some of them have nice shell embossing on the front as well as the side. This one just has it on the sides, but I reckon we'll get 40 for that. I might have even written down 45. No, I wrote down 40. Okay, the soldering irons, I just gave a clean up with steel wool in soapy water. I did put a handle on this one, so it looks the part now. We should get $10 each for those very easily. I cleaned up the carpenter's rule and put a bit of beeswax on it. It actually looks great. I mean, the staining on this side didn't come off, but you can read the numbers now. It is a Raybone, and it's in pretty good condition. I think I just went $10 on that. We should be able to get that. The cast iron spirit level is a beauty. It's an absolute ripper. It cleaned up very well. It works fine. So you can undo this knob here and adjust this part, and I'll spin it over. And it points to a little gauge here. I think it says 1/16 of an inch per foot or something. So it's a pretty cool piece. Now, I couldn't see a brand on it initially, but there is a brand on the top plate here. Can't really make it out through the camera, but it says LSS, and it's USA, and it actually is the Starrett company that make a lot of carpentry tools and that sort of stuff. And I did see a few online that sold for around $100 and more. One of them had 4 bids, sold for about $120 Australian. So they're quite sought after. They're not super common. I didn't see very many of them. And I'm going to put 85 on that because I think it's a nice piece and it'll look great in the shop. So that was the best bit we found in the box, actually, in the bag. This one I cleaned up well, and it does have a brand. It's a Union brand, and again, it's USA made. And you should be able to read that, or if you can't, I'll try and get a focus so that you can. There we go. It's made in Torrington, Connecticut, USA, and it's a Union brand. It's quite a good quality hacksaw, and the blade on it is actually quite good, so we'll go $10 on that. The drill brace is a German made one, and it cleaned up quite nicely too. I did wipe a bit of beeswax over all these, and even the steel pieces. It just gives them a bit of protection, gives them a bit of gloss, much more presentable in the shop. These little bits, I couldn't remember what they were called. In fact, I wasn't even sure what they were called, and I think they're called gimlets, and they're essentially just a little hand drill. I mentioned about using them to form a hole to start a wood screw, but you can actually use them as a drill, just essentially to drill a hole right through something. They would come in a range of sizes. I just went $5 the pair there. Should sell well. The little drill here cleaned up nicely, and I gave it a bit of a lube, and it spins beautifully, so that would actually be in excellent working condition now. And the plumber's solder is actually all 50-50, so it's 50% lead, 50% tin, and these sell at new, you can still buy them, $20 per stick or close to, so it's not cheap stuff. And I think I put $20 for the 3 sticks there, so anyone that uses it will certainly know what it's worth. Let's pan over to the notepad after we've chatted about all the prices. $270. We just never fail to get a good tally, do we? It's amazing how it adds up, and we nearly always find 1 or 2 good bits and then a lot of low value stuff, but quantity also adds up. So a nice tally for our unboxing this week. Some more good stock for the shop. It does take me a few hours to clean it all up to present it to you guys, but it's work time that I spend at home that I benefit for when I sell the stuff in the shop, and it helps pay my bills at the end of the week. So another good, profitable exercise this time, another successful episode. We've achieved something out of that shed for this week. Our grand total has now topped $10,000 10,147 in my list here of what I price out and what I take to the shop to sell. Most of it does go, as I keep saying, and occasionally I have put something aside here and then end up taking it and selling it anyway. So it's all ticking over quite nicely. Still a long way to go in that shed, as you've seen. I hope you're going to be with me for the long haul. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.